All right, welcome to another episode of the Couch Cricketer, where we talk about all things cricket, however we feel like it. I'm joined by my co-host today and personal stats guru, Satish. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Again, we have a lot of stats. Again, we need to show the world that we are another couple of other cricket tragics joining the fore with unnecessary trivia that helps nobody. But here we begin.
There we go. First of all, big thank you to all our fans, supporters, and well wishers. We've received a lot of feedback and suggestions, which is always good to get. Glad to have all of your support. Please keep the comments coming through. Really appreciate it. Before we get on to the show, I've been asked to clarify a point of confusion from the last episode. I don't know if you noticed this, Satish. I think you obviously did. So I was wearing an Indian jersey with a South African hat. I just want to clarify a couple of things. I like to think of it as a matrix, right?
Yes.
Whenever India is playing, I support India. If India isn't playing, but if South Africa is playing, I support South Africa. If neither are playing, then I go for the underdog. I think that's quite fair.
Yes, it is.
Because if India is not playing, I mean, you have to have some kind of another team to support. So for me, it's South Africa, I guess. But again, getting back on point, Satish, we've got a fairly big T20 campaign ahead of us for India, considering, especially since we got the World Cup this year as well. So playing against probably one of the best white ball sides in the world. I don't know. You give me your thoughts on that. How are we feeling?
It is the best one T20 squad in the world.
How are we feeling in the Indian camp right now? What do you think?
I think it's it's very exciting because I've always wanted to see Surya Kumar Yadav play because I know he's 30 and all, but it's still he's someone that is just been the backbone, and then off late he's become very zen. So I think I want to see the middle order. The thing is, the funny thing is, it's an embarrassment of riches in the batting order because you have Ishan Kishan. How do you play them all?
Yeah,
That is the point. How will they all be featured? I doubt it. But the thing I want to see is, again, my excitement is about watching maybe Ishan Kishan get a bat, or more importantly, Surya Kumar Yadav and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Bhuvi has been missing. So I just want to
he's been missing in action, definitely. I think it was interesting a couple of days ago, Ravi Shastri, I think, was saying that there is enough strength in the Indian side to field two full sides, two full 20T20 sides, and that is a clear testament to the strength that we have today in the Indian side. No.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. How are they going to fit most of them into the team?
Who do you drop? Who do you drop? Who do you favor over the other? It's a tough one. I think from a selection standpoint, it's going to be a tough one. How do you think they're going about it though? The selection process. Do you think they're looking at IPL performance, or what do you think is sort of factoring
I think it's going to be a regular squad to start with. I think people like Washington Sundar and Akshar Patel will pick themselves, and then Bumrah's back, and then we need to see who's going to accompany him. So is there going to be a kind of full-fledged spinner? Is a question to see. I think it's going to be a lot of things, but I think they need to start with maybe KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma, and then I think Surya Kumar Yadav has to pencil in again. Is it? It's kind of it's a straight competition between Shreyas Iyer and Surya Kumar Yadav. But again, Shreyas is good, but I think there's opportunity to throw Surya Kumar Yadav in. He could literally kind of he could settle in, and they could also try him for the one dayers, if you ask me. Again, he could do the role that Ambati Rayudu did for a long time, to do the role. So I think it's going to be Rohit, Rahul, probably Virat, obvious pick, Surya Kumar Yadav. Rishabh Pant picks himself.
You've got Hardik Pandya. Apparently, he's been serious. Hardik Pandya has been getting a bit of bowling practice in, so it'll be good to see him.
It's a team where everybody can bowl.
Yeah, true. You reckon Krunal Pandya will get a hit? Get a goal this time?
I think they want to see. I don't know if Tewatia has arrived. I don't think
Natarajan is there. Tewatia too.
Varun failed the fitness test, so it's a few things. I don't know how they're going to fit in the squad.
Plus you've got Nattu as well with the pace.
I don't know, he's not arrived yet. He's still. I don't know what kind of rehabilitation he's undergoing, but he's not there yet. So even if people don't arrive, it's not a problem because it's just about way too many already. So you're just. It's like a bus stop, an Indian bus stop where people queuing and queuing,
and it's actually really really nice to have have a conversation about in this manner, like, what about this guy? What about that guy? It shows how many options we have as a
almost
side.
Like Australia, right? This is what we talk about Australia. Everybody comes in, everybody can bat, and everybody can bowl, and people wait.
Yeah.
But having said that, again, I'm really keen to see Jason Roy because I was surprised that Jason Roy was not picked in the IPL because of some perceived notion that he can't play spin. It's an oddity, but again, I think he has a lot to prove. Not that he's going to be picked in the IPL immediately, but again, if he just kind of sticks it out, we're going to have another probably 3 million, 4 million pound player for next IPL.
Yeah, and I think the other point I was thinking of was India is obviously coming off a high, winning the Test series the way they did, by the margins they did. So obviously there's a lot of positive energy in the camp. What do you think on the English side, coming out of a fairly subpar performance? It's not really just about physical prep, isn't it? Clearly they've got a mental hurdle to cross, and also more so because they're going back to the same stadium for 5 T20s and the same pitch where they had their 2 last Test defeats. So what do you think? What do you think is kind of going through their minds?
I don't think we're going to get the same wicket again because probably the groundsman will be fired. If you get someone scoring 110 and the other one getting out for 57, you don't want it. You need a kind of high power game. I don't think mentally it's going to affect any of the English players because it's an entirely different setup. Owen Morgan is kind of like also another Zen kind of dude. He literally it doesn't affect him. Yeah. So I think the squad is completely different, and I don't think it's going to affect them. And they're probably coming from the best form of their lives. They are the number 1 team again. I'm sure people would kind of contradict me, but the point is, again, all round, I think at the moment on form, they are the best.
Who do you reckon's opening the bat?
Jason Roy and Jason Roy. Butler is kind of what the feel I get. Or I think I'm excited to see people like Sam Curran, Sam Billings. Yes. They're all kind of IPL stalwarts. They're almost kind of names that the Indian household would talk about. So I think it's going to be people who know the background, know the ground. So it's going to be between 2 evenly matched teams, and I don't think spin is going to be as big as an impact as what it was in the Test series.
I think the interesting thing is you mentioned Sam Curran. So Sam Curran he was in the CSK team.
Yeah.
I think he's played for CSK for a couple of seasons now, if I'm not mistaken.
He's boy now.
Yeah, so I mean, it goes back to something that we touched on in the last episode, isn't it? Where we were saying, how come we don't see a lot of foreign players coming into India to play domestic series like Ranji or Vijay Hazare Trophy and things like that? But you got the IPL where it's fairly evenly matched, don't you think? Yes. There's a lot of international players who are coming to play in India to get that experience. So, and we've got a lot of English players who have done that too. So, it's a very even contest, right? But with this one that we see.
Yeah, again, it's a format where you just put your best foot forward, whether it's the best foot or not. You put your front foot forward and just literally slam through the line. And you see people not even looking after the completion of their strokes. They kind of, that's kind of a nonchalance coming through. So we're going to see kind of a stylish, kind of a Bollywood version of cricket where you see people turn up. So I think it's going to be a precursor to the IPL and the T20 World Cup. So I think this is kind of a laboratory of sorts where these 5 one-day internationals, both teams sort out who's going to be there in October.
It's a very good way to put it. You mentioned about the pitch. So and what are we expecting here? Obviously, you mentioned, I mean, if it's a very low scoring, obviously it's not going to be a good entertainment for anybody. You think it'll be like the 4th Test?
No, I think it was quite. It's going to be a flat track. It's literally. I don't foresee too much of bounce. Again, it's not going to happen overnight with the sun baking the surface. But I think it's going to be an even-natured one where there's no kind of exaggerated spin or seam. It is a batsman's game anyways, but this one's going to be hyped so much in favor of the batsman that it should be a high score. But the first match, I think the teams are going to be tentative. It's not going to be a 20.
Plus, it's happening. I mean, the games are spaced every 2 days, so it's going to be fairly fast paced that way. Not to mention, it's all under lights. So you think Dew coming into play? So have a ball first if we win the toss.
I think it's not going to have that because we are still in March. Again, if it's April IPL time, it's more due. Now it's not going to be playing such a big factor. But I think we'll find out in the first couple of games. Again, it's a test within a test where you have to see whether you win the
T20 there anyway.
Lose the toss, bat first, bat second. But in the 2020 game, at the toss place, doesn't play that big a part like it does in the other formats. So that's why it's so exciting to see the two different. I think this would kind of be like the Ashes of T20s, because again you have India and England, probably England probably the ones who kind of literally created T20s, and Indians who literally take it on board. Like the past, literally kind of, it's the past and the future kind of combining together. So I think it's going to be some good games.
Yeah, it's going to be great cricket. But you know what? I wanted to talk about the T20 format itself, right? I mean, frankly, I've never been a huge fan of it like I am of Test cricket. I'll watch it for entertainment value, but I don't sort of love it, if you know what I mean. Like I don't watch every T20 league there is, if you know, but I do watch almost every Test series there is. So, I did some digging this week to find out a little bit more about T20 and where it actually come from. So maybe some of our viewers will find this trivia a little interesting. T20 actually came about, you just mentioned it, Satish, T20 actually came about in response to declining ticket sales for domestic cricket in England in 2002. The first T20 was actually in June 2003. With Surrey defeating Warwickshire in a local county T20 Cup.
Let's not even talk about the score.
The first T20 international was in August 2004 between England and New Zealand women's, where New Zealand won by 9 runs. The first men's was actually between Australia and New Zealand in February 2005. And since then, in 16 years of the format, 17 years of the format, we've had 7 leagues, sort of professional leagues. You've got Caribbean, Pakistan, you've got Bangladesh, you've got all kinds of leagues, Big Bash, IPL, of course, plus T20 internationals being added to every ODI and Test series that is being played internationally. So from a format perspective, it's obviously here to stay. Now, again, there's lots of people who say, T20 is not real cricket and this, that kind of thing. But let's look at the positive side. What do you think are some of the positives that we can take away from the format?
I think with you're rubbing shoulders with some of these stalwarts, with some of the legends, be they present or the past. Because if you look at Mumbai Indians, you can just on Monday morning ask Sachin Tendulkar to just look at your footwork. On Tuesday morning, you can ask Ricky Ponting how to kind of hook or pull the ball. And then you have Muralidharan or Mahela. If you look at them, it's an embarrassment riches. So I think the biggest positive is, again, you play kind of a varied with different people. You live with different people. You experience different things, and then I think it's basically, if you also notice that they've all become like a big global family again. Yes, sledging still happens, but the people who sledge are predominantly people who don't play too much of a part in 2020s, because you can't be spending 3 weeks sharing the room with a guy and on the hens call him names. It's very difficult to do that. I think the positives, again, from the local kind of Indian players' point of view, the confidence levels have skyrocketed. Because they can take on anything. It doesn't come about by traveling. It comes about by kind of some of the people's kind of psychologically rubbing off on you. Again, call Ricky Ponting whatever you want. Again, he makes some weird statements about he's like Pujara is a liability. Whatever, leave that aside. But again, he has never backed down. The punter has never backed down. Again, sorry to say this, he's almost like the human embodiment of a Tasmanian devil. Someone who comes at it's about 1/10 the size of any other creature, but when it runs at you, you run away. So he's pugnacious again. So if you rub shoulders with someone like Ricky Ponting, at least 20% of it is going to rub off on you. So I think
definitely
camaraderie has picked up, the game has picked up, but the game has become global. And I think more than anything else, the ability to probably interact with some of the people that you have zero access to otherwise. It's a blessing in disguise.
And it's very well said. Good points. From my side, I think there's 2 things I can come up with. One, it's a fast-paced game, and you need to be fit. You need to be absolutely, in the best shape to be able to cope with how fast the game goes. And I think it's definitely improving the fitness levels of athletes. Right? You have to be in the best form of your life to be able to play at the IPL level. The IPL is essentially like the English Premier League for football. It's the most elite form of the game, and if you want to make it to the side, you got to be in the best form. And I think that level of fitness obviously is going to rub off onto playing for their countries in the ODI format or in the Test format. So definitely fitness levels is one thing. Second thing, and probably the most important, I think, is it's building up such an incredibly healthy pipeline of talent. If we project 5 years from now, 5, 10 years from now, eventually Virat Kohli is going to have to retire, and you've got such talent to fill in the shoes of a captain. Where do you even, and some might say, you've got way too much talent. How do you get everybody a go? But at the same time, having lots of leagues like this, professional leagues like this, means that even if people in the side, even if people in India can't actually make it into the Indian side, they've got such a plethora of leagues that they can go and play in. It's not the end of their career if they can't make it into the Indian side. You know what I mean? That opportunity is there for them, and I think that is such an amazing part of T20, and why I have slowly kind of come around to it's actually exciting to watch young talent like Ishan Kishan, for example. It's so cool to watch young Nattu has been such a revelation for the side, right? From playing for Hyderabad to going to India as a net bowler to getting a go in the test. I mean, seeing that kind of talent come up I don't think there was any other way we'd be able to see this amount of talent coming through.
And no longer can people in India complain about regionalism as some people being favored over the rest. Because if you look at this team, they're from everywhere, quite literally. You can tick off every possible state. Okay, of course, there are going to be few left, but there are leg spinners coming out of Meghalaya and Nagaland. And all the only way for the people who are probably on the fringe and not being considered as cricket heavyweights is to play this game and come to the fore. I think that's. I think I'm sure there are negatives about you might say the quality of batting draw, but again, if you look at the quality of bowling, the kind of the various different balls that people bowl, knuckle ball, call this, call that, and Siraj's ball, which people keep talking about coming off a crack, is a ball that's developed in the IPL.
Yeah.
So it can be translated to the longer variety of the game. So I think in a net, I think there are lots more positives.
Yeah, there you go.
And it also is a very positive kind of I think the game is kind of looking forward and moving forward and positive, so it gives you this positive vibe. So I think, kind of cutting a long story short, I think it's the energy that you get out of the game.
Definitely, it's positive. It's going to do great things for the game. So just coming to the end of the show here, Satish, I don't know if I should. You know what? I'm going to ask you this question anyway. So who do you reckon, India or England, for the win?
You talk about the match, or are you talking about all five?
Let's go series. Let's talk about the series.
Okay, not putting me in a spot, but I just think I'm trying to see if I can say it, but I have a feeling it's going to go 3-2 England.
Yeah, I think England will put up a hell of a show.
They are led by a very, very canny individual.
Very astute.
Not count him out. You might speak like kind of a softie, but he's not. Because he's had to come up the wrong way, because he was always called Irish. So he had to come up the wrong way and he's leading the team. But do not count him out. If you do that, you're peril.
Yeah. No, I think, look, whatever it is, I think we're set for a solid 5 T20s. What we'll do is we'll catch up probably in between games to do a bit of a debrief, right? For the viewers, and looking forward to it, man. Let's get the first one on tomorrow.
Can't wait.
All right, Satish, good to chat to you as always. We'll speak again soon.
Don't do that. Bye now. Take care.
All right.